Adida turned to her mother with a troubled look. "Mama, is it wrong to have the dream of becoming rich and wealthy?" Mama Abena looked at her daughter thoughtfully before replying. Welcome everyone to the second episode of this incredible love story. This is what happened so far. In a small African village, a young girl named Adida grew up with dreams of a better life. Despite her poor background, she was blessed with loving parents, Mama Abena and Baba Kwame, who instilled in her the values of kindness and generosity. Adida fell in love with Nuru, a kind-hearted and ambitious young man from a neighboring village who dreamed of becoming an engineer and improving their community. Nuru's parents, Mama Adwoa and Baba Mensa, welcomed Adida warmly and treated her like their future daughter-in-law. However, Adida's longing for a life of luxury led her to take advantage of Nuru's love and generosity. Nuru sacrificed everything for Adida, working tirelessly and neglecting his own needs. Despite warnings from his best friend Django, Nuru continued to give, hoping that Adida would eventually reciprocate his love. Adida, captivated by the wealth and charm of Tunde, a wealthy trader, left Nuru heartbroken. Despite his pain, he decided to focus on his future and pursued his dream of going to university, where he excelled in his studies. Meanwhile, Adida moved in with Tunde, only to find herself increasingly isolated as Tunde's business trips became more frequent. Tunde eventually left her for Akosua, a successful businesswoman, leaving Adida devastated. Now, fate has brought Nuru and Adida face to face once more, as Nuru returns to his village as a successful engineer to plan new water systems and a bridge over the river. Adida, humbled by her experiences, seeks forgiveness from Nuru and his parents. As Nuru's project progressed, the village began to transform. The new water systems provided clean, reliable water, and the construction of the bridge was nearing completion. The villagers, who once struggled with basic necessities, now enjoyed a better quality of life. Nuru's dedication and hard work had paid off, bringing prosperity and hope to his community. Nuru threw himself into his work, using it as a way to heal from the pain of betrayal. His days were filled with planning, overseeing, construction, and working alongside the villagers. The sense of purpose and the positive impact he was making helped to mend his broken heart. As time passed, Nuru's hard work and frugality paid off. He became wealthy, though he continued to live modestly, spending very little on himself and saving most of his money. This fact did not go unnoticed by the villagers, especially the women, who admired Nuru's work, his ambitions, and his growing wealth. Despite his achievements, the memory of Adida's betrayal lingered. Nuru found it difficult to trust again, especially when it came to matters of the heart. He avoided close relationships and focused solely on his work. His friends and family noticed the change in him, but respected his need for time and space. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Django approached Nuru. They had remained close, with Django offering his unwavering support throughout Nuru's journey. "Nuru, my friend," Django said, sitting down beside him, "you've done incredible work here. The village is thriving because of you." Nuru smiled, though his eyes reflected a deeper sadness. "Thank you, Django. It means a lot to hear that, but sometimes I still feel the weight of the past." Django nodded, understanding his friend's pain. "It's only natural, Nuru. Healing takes time. But remember, you're not alone. We all care about you and want to see you happy." Nuru sighed, looking out at the village. "I know, Django. I'm just not sure if I can ever trust again. What Adida did, it broke something inside me." Django placed a comforting hand on Nuru's shoulder. "Trust is hard to rebuild, but it's not impossible. Take it one step at a time. And who knows, maybe one day someone will come along who can help to heal." Django, Nuru's loyal friend, had his own share of experience with love and betrayal. Django was married to a kind-hearted woman named Lela. Her love story was filled with both joy and challenges. "Lela and I have been through a lot, Nuru," Django began, his voice reflecting the depth of his experiences. "When we first met, it was love at first sight. She was the light of my life, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her." Nuru listened intently, finding comfort in his friend's openness. "We got married young, just like you and Adida had planned," Django continued. "But marriage isn't always easy. There were times when we struggled financially, and the stress took a toll on our relationship. But we always found a way to support each other." Django's eyes softened as he recalled the difficult times. "There was a time when I almost lost Lela. Not to another man, but to the pressures of life. I was so focused on providing for our family that I neglected her needs. She felt alone and unloved." Nuru's expression mirrored Django's empathy. "How did you get through it?" Django sighed, his voice tinged with emotion. "Communication, Nuru. We sat down and talked about our feelings. It wasn't easy, but we both made an effort to understand each other. We learned to prioritize our relationship and make time for each other." Nuru nodded, absorbing the wisdom in Django's words. "It's inspiring to see how you both worked through it." Django smiled warmly. "Thank you, Nuru. We've had our ups and downs, but our love has grown stronger because of it. Trust takes time to rebuild, but with the right person, it's worth the effort." Meanwhile, Adida's life had taken a different turn. After Tunde left her, she found herself alone and struggling to make ends meet. The life of luxury she had chased after had vanished, leaving her to confront the consequences of her choices. Adida returned to her parents' home in the neighboring village, feeling a deep sense of shame and regret. Mama Abena and Baba Kwame welcomed her back with open arms, offering their love and support. "Adida, my dear," Mama Abeda said, embracing her daughter. "We have missed you. Whatever has happened, you are always welcome here." Tears streamed down Adida's face as she clung to her mother. "I am so sorry, Mama. I made terrible mistakes. I hurt Nuru and I lost everything." Baba Kwame, his expression filled with concern, spoke gently. "Adida, life is full of lessons, and sometimes we learn the hardest ones from our own actions. What matters now is not where you have been, but where you are going. You have the strength to start anew and make things right." Adida nodded, wiping her tears. "Thank you, Baba. I want to make things right. I want to be better." With the support of her parents, Adida began to rebuild her life. She took on various jobs in her village, working hard to regain her sense of purpose. The villagers, though initially wary, gradually accepted her back as they saw their genuine efforts to change. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Adida turned to her mother with a troubled look. "Mama, is it wrong to have the dream of becoming rich and wealthy?" Mama Abena looked at her daughter thoughtfully before replying. "No, Adida, it is not wrong to dream of becoming wealthy. It all depends on why you want that wealth and how you plan to achieve it." Adida's eyes widened and she leaned forward, eager to understand. "What do you mean, Mama?" Baba Kwame joined the conversation, his voice gentle but firm. "Wealth, my daughter, is not inherently good or bad. It can be a blessing or a curse, depending on your intentions and actions." Mama Abena nodded in agreement. "If you seek wealth to help others, to improve your community, and to provide a better life for your family, then it is a noble dream. But if you chase wealth for selfish reasons, to boast and look down on others, it will only bring misery." Tears welled up in Adida's eyes as she reflected on her past choices. "I understand now, Mama, Baba. I chased after wealth for all these wrong reasons, and it brought me nothing but heartache." Mama Abena reached out and took her daughter's hand. "We are proud of you for realizing this, Adida. The path to true wealth is not just through money, but through the love and respect of the people around you." Baba Kwame added, "Remember, true wealth is measured by the positive impact you have on others. When you work hard and with good intentions, wealth will follow on its own time." Adida felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Thank you, Mama, Baba. I will strive to achieve my dreams with integrity and compassion." With a newfound understanding, Adida decided to start her own business. She used her savings to open a small shop in the village, selling handmade crafts and local produce. She poured her heart into the business, determined to make it a success. Her hard work paid off, and the shop became a popular spot in the village. Adida's entrepreneurial spirit and dedication impressed the villagers, and they began to see in her a new light. She was no longer the girl who had chased after wealth at any cost, but a woman who was committed to building a better future. One day, as Adida was helping to gather vegetables in the village garden, she heard about the near completion of the bridge Nuru was building. The bridge would make it easier to travel between the two villages, a project that was transforming both communities. Deciding to take the chance, Adida crossed the newly built bridge to Nuru's village. Her heart raced with a mix of fear and hope as she approached the site where Nuru was working. "Nuru," she called softly, her voice trembling. Nuru turned to see her, his expression unreadable. "Adida," he replied, his tone neutral. Adida took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "I wanted to thank you for everything you've done for both villages. Your work has transformed our lives." Nuru nodded, his eyes distant. "I'm glad to hear that." Adida hesitated, then continued. "I also wanted to apologize again for everything. I know I hurt you deeply. I am truly sorry." Nuru's expression softened a bit, but caution remained in his eyes. "Thank you for your apology, Adida. Forgiveness is a process, and it takes time to heal old wounds." Adida nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I understand, Nuru. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know that I'm trying to be a better person." Nuru sighed, looking at the woman who had once been the love of his life. "I am glad to hear that, Adida. I hope you find the happiness you are looking for." One evening, as the villagers from both sides gathered to celebrate the near completion of the bridge, Adida found herself standing beside Nuru. The air was filled with laughter and joy, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had once defined their relationship. "Nuru," Adida said, her voice filled with sincerity. "Thank you for giving me the chance to make things right." Nuru looked at her, a mixture of emotion in his eyes. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Adida. You've shown that you're willing to change." Adida smiled, a sense of relief washing over her. "I hope we can be friends again one day." Nuru nodded, though his heart was still cautious. "Maybe, Adida. Time will tell." Despite his achievements and the progress he had made, Nuru continued to grapple with an inner conflict. On one hand, he yearned for companionship, love, and the chance to start a family. On the other hand, the fear of being hurt again, of being taken advantage of, loomed large. He often found himself lost in thought, wondering if he could ever truly trust someone again. The women in the village, who admired him and his work, seemed genuine. But how could he be sure? How could he distinguish between those who loved him for who he was and those who were drawn to his wealth and success? These thoughts haunted him, and he found solace in his conversations with Django and his parents. One evening, Nuru sat with Django under the starry sky, the cool breeze providing a respite from the day's heat. "Nuru, you've achieved so much," Django said, his voice filled with admiration. "But I can see that something is still troubling you." Nuru sighed deeply, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "I want to move on, Django. I want to love again, to have a family, but I'm scared. What if I trust someone and they betray me like Adida did?" Django nodded, understanding his friend's pain. "It's natural to feel that way, Nuru. Trust is a fragile thing, especially after what you have been through. But you can't let fear control your life. You're a good man and you deserve happiness. How can I be sure, Django? How can I know if someone truly loves me for who I am and not for what I have? Django placed a comforting hand on Nuru's shoulder. You can't be sure, Nuru, but you can take it slow. Get to know the person, build a foundation of friendship and trust. And remember, you have your family and friends to support you. We'll be here for you no matter what. Seeking further wisdom, Nuru decided to speak with his parents. One afternoon, he sat down with Mama Adwoa and Baba Mensa in their cozy home, the aroma of freshly cooked food filling the air. Mama, Baba, Nuru began, his voice heavy with emotion. I need your advice. I'm struggling to move on from the past. I want to find love again, but I'm scared of being hurt. Mama Adwoa looked at her son with kind, wise eyes. Nuru, my dear, love is always a risk, but it's a risk worth taking. You can't let one bad experience define your entire life. Baba Mensa nodded, his expression thoughtful. You have to trust yourself, Nuru. You are a good judge of character. Take your time and let your heart guide you. And remember, true love is not about what you can give or receive materially. It's about mutual respect, understanding and support. Nuru listened intently, absorbing their words. But how can I know if someone truly loves me for who I am, not for what I have? Mama Adwoa smiled gently. By their actions, Nuru. True love is shown through actions, not just words. Look for someone who stands by you in difficult times, who respects your dreams and supports your ambitions. Baba Mensa added, and trust your instincts. Your heart will know when it's right. Don't rush it. Let it happen naturally. Nuru felt a sense of relief wash over him. His parents' wisdom and Django's support gave him the strength to face his fears. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to open his heart to the possibility of love once more. Despite her efforts, Adida often found herself reflecting on her past choices. The luxury and wealth she had once craved now seemed hollow compared to the genuine connections and sense of community she experienced in the village. One night, as she sat by the river, she thought about Nuru and the love they had shared. She realized that true happiness came from within, from being true to oneself and valuing the people who genuinely cared. Meanwhile, Nuru continued to focus on his work, though his interactions with Adida had stirred up old emotions. He found himself grappling with the question of forgiveness and whether he could ever trust Adida again. One day, as the bridge neared completion, the villagers from both sides gathered for a final inspection. Nuru stood at the forefront, his heart swelling with pride what he had accomplished. Adida was there too, her eyes filled with admiration for Nuru's dedication. As they stood on the newly completed bridge, looking out over the river, both Nuru and Adida felt the weight of their choices. The bridge symbolized not just the physical connection between their villages, but the emotional journey they had been on. Nuru turned to Adida, his eyes filled with a mix of hope and caution. The future's uncertain, Adida, but maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to move forward. Adida nodded, her eyes reflecting her determination and sincerity. I believe we can, Nuru, one step at a time. Despite the openness of their conversation, there was a secret that Nuru kept to himself. Among the women in the village, there was one who had quietly captured his interest. Her name was Zawadi, a beautiful woman with long flowing hair and a gentle grace that drew people to her. Nuru admired her from a distance, her presence bringing a quiet warmth to his heart. But he had never found the courage to speak to her, especially with the lingering pain from the past with Adida. He didn't want to tell Adida or anyone else about Zawadi. It was a private hope, a delicate possibility that he guarded closely. He often saw Zawadi in the village, her laughter and kindness spreading joy to those around her. The thought of approaching her filled him with both excitement and fear. Excitement as the possibility of a new beginning, and fear of being hurt again. He wondered if he would ever muster the courage to speak to her, to see if there could be a future beyond his past heartbreak. Later that night, Nuru stood alone on the bridge, deep in thought, looking at the river below. The moonlight cast a gentle glow, illuminating the water and creating a serene yet poignant atmosphere. The bridge symbolized so much: connection, change, and the unknown future. As he reflected on the day's events and his conversation with Adida, Nuru's mind wandered to Zawadi. Could he find it within himself to trust again? Could he open his heart to the possibility of love with someone new, someone like Zawadi? The road ahead was unknown, but one thing was certain. Both Nuru and Adida had changed, and their lives would never be the same again. What do you think about Adida's transformation? Can Nuru find it within himself to trust again? Should he give Adida another chance? Or should he explore the possibility of a new love with Zawadi? And if so, how should he approach her? Share your thoughts in the comments below and stay tuned for the next episode of this captivating African tale. Thank you so much for watching this story. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming stories. See you in the next story. Bye bye.